What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode number 7 of Shonen and Chill. That's so many. We're, we're doing so many things, and it's my favorite Final Fantasy number, so I'm glad I get to post this one. I officially
Oh,
claim the number
bet,
7. Yeah. So,
bet.
as always, I am joined by Oceaniz,
Hi.
and that's him saying hi right now.
That is me saying hi right now.
And you guys are blessed because today there is no My Hero Academia in Shonen Jump, so we can't talk about that for an hour and a half.
The
But Jujutsu
tragedy.
Kaisen is back, so we are going to talk about that for an hour and a half.
All right. I mean, since we're already here, do I take a wild guess what your favorite manga was this week?
Hey, guess what? It was Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh my god.
Weird,
What?
I know. I don't usually care for that, but this week
Are
it
you
was pretty
okay,
good.
Zen?
This week it was okay.
It was all right.
It was fine.
Reasonably good.
It was solid. What was your chapter of the week?
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay, well then let's talk about some other stuff first before we
Yes.
spend the entire runtime talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. I think
Yes.
my number 2 was Dr. Stone. It's pretty good this
Mm-hmm.
week. My number 3, Chainsaw Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I also kind of liked Build King this week, but not as much as last week.
Mm. Yeah, sounds about right to me. For me, my number 2 was Chainsaw Man, and number 3, I haven't really thought about it. I think number 3 would almost have to be Sakamoto Days, the new one.
I did read that. It is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I really
Right?
like it.
Right? Yeah, I was super surprised by it. And also, this week didn't have MHA, and Mashal and Undead Unluck had like okay chapters,
Yeah, they
but
were
like
pretty
nothing.
slow, like setup chapters for stuff that's going to come later.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm gonna say Mashal was pretty good. Now that I'm like thinking back on it, because of course you read all of these on Friday, so I'm trying to like warm up the memory a bit. But Mashal did have that cool moment with the candle. That was nice.
Yeah, I like this one just because I think that like we're going to get to the point where shit's going to start going crazy in Mashal, I think, pretty
Mm-hmm.
soon. Um,
Yeah.
I didn't think that we would hit the point where his lack of magic would be public so soon. It
Mm-hmm.
feels really early for that, but I also kind of like that because that means now we're going to be moving in a different direction.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and I also time that Mashal makes some old guy who's like being haughty look stupid is great.
Down with the boomers.
Uh,
Um, but one thing that I found really cool is that we've actually now finally have like straight up Harry Potter in the series. In that final page where you can see the divine, whatever they're
the
called,
divine
visionaries.
visionary with the glasses.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that's Harry Potter. He has the hair, he even has like his mark kind of looks like the scar, so like
yeah.
we're
It's
going
it's vaguely like jagged.
yeah, like we're getting to peak parody territory again, which I think is where Mashal as of right now really shines. It can obviously still evolve into being a different thing, but right now I think when it's parodying common tropes, especially Harry Potter, I think that's when it's really strong.
Yeah. Also, just the one-off joke of when he makes the fire, and it's this huge dramatic panel of like wispy anime fire. It looks like a
Mm-hmm.
bleach panel or something. And the very next one is just a dude flat face going, "That's a marble floor." I love the humor. Like that's exactly my kind of humor. I like it way more than like. It feels like a lot of the gag stuff in Shonen right now centers around like being really wacky and like
Yeah.
weird, and that's just not my humor style. I'm very deadpan, like dry humor, and Mashal
Mm-hmm.
does that. Sakamoto Days also did that really well. I
Yeah.
really liked a lot of the humor in that, just because the guy is just this tubby, flat-faced dude who does not react with shock to anything, but he's just beating the shit out of dudes.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. The Sakamoto Days very much like falls into that same category of Mashal and maybe even things like One Punch Man, where you just have like the funnily drawn main character who's kind of overpowered, and a lot of the comedy and of the action just comes from them being in situations where either their personality or their skills are being questioned or whatever.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's
no,
any situation where this like atmosphere itself is very serious, but the main character is not and does not take it very seriously
uh-huh.
is always funny to me. It's always funny
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, I also the thing that surprised me about Sakamoto Days is just how good the art is compared to like, you know, what I was expecting. Because obviously it's a gag manga, so I was like, okay, we're probably gonna get like, sort of wacky looking art styles, but no, like the action panels actually look pretty darn great. Like that was something I was not expecting. Like all the motion lines and like really selling the speed of this fat old man. It's great. Like I really enjoyed
Is
it.
this his first work? Because I'm not familiar with him at all.
Uh, I know that Sakamoto Days is based on a one shot
Okay.
because panels of that guy have existed for a couple of years.
Okay.
But I don't know if he's ever been serialized before. That I am not knowledgeable on.
And
But he definitely
it's
looks like
weird
someone who's
because his
polished.
name is Yuto Suzuki, but there's also a voice actor named Yuto Suzuki.
Oh,
So I don't think they're the same person, but I guess I don't know.
well,
Um,
it's like Yuki Hayashi, where there's the composer, the animator, and the director, who are three different people. So,
nice,
it
great.
happens. It's the John Smith of Japan.
Yeah, apparently. So what about Chainsaw Man? How did you feel about Chainsaw Man?
I mean, it was very much a combat chapter, but it was a cool combat chapter. So, I mean, I'm happy.
Yes, it was. It was so cool. I like that Denji is back. I'm glad that he's not the Chainsaw Beast anymore.
Mhm.
Um, I still like the idea that because people like him, and he's like, basically capitalism has killed Chainsaw Man.
Yes, and actually, the thing that gets to me is the fact that this chapter has come out now when we're probably at the verge of an anime announcement.
Yeah, he literally
That is
the
so cool
panel
to me.
literally says the whole world has accepted him and they're turning him into a character merchandise for consumption. So there's no need to fear him anymore. And now we're gonna
That
get the anime and like all the merch and stuff.
that is so cool. That is like the kind of meta writing that is right up my alley. Like, I mean, let's hope it doesn't fall flat and the anime doesn't like flop after two episodes.
Oh
But
god, I
I
hope
mean,
not. But it would be
I mean,
so good.
I kind of doubt it because I mean, Chainsaw Man is doing pretty well numbers wise, and you know, the fan community in Japan for it is insane. They've pretty much animated half an episode by themselves already, so
hmm
you know, I think we're in good hands.
I also like how
Just
they talk about how weak he is now, but he's still just killing everybody. Like
Mhm.
he's tossing all these other devils no problem while they're sitting there talking about how weak he's become.
Yeah, yeah. When he puts like his arms into the ground and lifts like that
Yeah,
piece
like the
of
giant
rock out of
rock.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's also a move I don't think we've ever seen him do before.
I don't think so. I also
Yeah.
really like the panels where he cuts through. I think the gun. I think it's the gun one, and then he's kicking into like the arrow one, and then the next one is him just
Mhm.
cutting the dude's head off. And oh, it's so cool looking.
It's so stylish. Like in general, I think Fujimoto has a really good grasp on how to do like especially cutting panels where something's being severed. Ooh, throat. You can take over. I'm trying to recover here.
Oh my god. Okay. So I do agree. Yeah. That he portrays it very stylistically. This chapter, it's interesting because if anyone that watches this show follows me on Twitter, you saw my rant about how Boruto exists in a constant state of moving at light speed because every single panel in that series is backed with speed lines, and
Hmm.
I hate it. And this chapter has a ton of speed lines, and I love it. And because
Hmm.
it's just the way that so good paneling in a series. People talk about it a lot, and I feel like a lot of people kind of brush it off as like that's stupid because you should be able to read
Hmm.
it no matter what, and it's not. Good paneling can make all the difference in the world. And so you have panels in Chainsaw Man where it's all just speed line, but because of like context clues and associated panels next to them and stuff like that, you never lose scope of where anyone is. You know
Hmm.
exactly where everyone is at all times. Every time they stop moving, the background comes back in.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, like in Boruto, there's at one point where the bad guy is on top of Naruto. He has him pinned to the ground and he's strangling him, and the background is
Hmm.
all speed lines.
Yeah, I saw that.
What? what? Like, oh, it makes me so mad. And everyone brushes off like it's just speed lines, bruh. But like, it makes everything look so stupid. You're telling me that this guy can't put a background in for a still scene to give it any sort of like the scene where Denji's getting swarmed by the zombies. The
Mhm.
background is there now, and you see
Yeah.
Makima in the panel, so you know exactly where the action has been taking place in relation to her. And
Mhm.
like, so when you have Naruto, who's supposed to be moving at like, oh, he's 77 trillion tons faster than light and all this shit, and every panel is a speed line, and then you cut back to Sasuke and you realize that Naruto has not moved from his starting position relative to where Sasuke is. It's so
Yeah.
fucking confusing visually.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I see people brush off like paneling as like a non-factor, that's kind of like saying, shot composition in movies is a non-factor. Like, no,
Yeah,
it's
like
literally
like
how you
blocking is
perceive it.
irrelevant in a movie. Like it's
Yeah,
not.
like it's literally the fundamentals of how you perceive it. Like, I can tell you, no one would like consider, like, just off the top of their head, would consider like line spacing in a book all that important until they see a book that's edited badly. Like, I've read books that have bad like line spacing and formatting, and trust me, it's bad. And bad paneling is exactly the same. There is a manhwa called Red Storm, which is like a medieval type of deal. And that shit has atrocious paneling. And I urge anyone who thinks that paneling is not important to just check that out, because it is so bad. It is like it will have like a full like A4 page, and there'll be two panels that are like tiny in one corner and then the opposite corner, and the middle will be just white, and it disrupts everything. It's so bad. So yeah, paneling is super important, and Chainsaw Man is super good at paneling and action flow. And I think that that's always been the case, but now that we're kind of in the final fight, because I'm assuming this is the final fight, I'm really interested to see how Fujimoto like one ups himself for like the final confrontation. Because obviously this chapter ends with Makima being like, "No goons, no nothing, come back to life, and now we throw hands."
Yeah, which interesting because that doesn't really seem like something she, I guess, would have done based on how I perceive her prior to this. But I like it.
Yeah,
I
I
want
mean,
to see them throw
I mean,
hands, and also I hate her, so I hope she dies.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. We've never seen her actually engage herself. Like, she's always been commanding other things because of course she's the control devil. Um, but the way she says it, it really sounds like she's gonna fight herself, which that might be that might be super interesting. I kind of hope she doesn't turn into some grotesque monster. I kind of just want to see the lady in the business suit punch the chainsaw man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that her like eldritch design would look cool because his all of his
Mm-hmm.
demon designs are really cool in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
But I
sure.
do like the contrast of like the thin pretty girl fighting the monster with the chainsaw face, and the pretty
Yeah,
girl is not the good guy.
yeah. I mean, honestly, if we can get a panel next week of like the business lady fucking ripping Chainsaw Man in half, that's fucking kino. That's professionally we would call that kinography, even.
The study of Kino.
Yes. As Aristotle said, rawness and swag.
Yeah, I think that's what Einstein said when he figured out the theory of relativity. He said, "Wow,
Yeah.
this is Kino." So,
Wow, this is poggers. Uh,
oh god. Okay. Yeah.
um,
So what else? I guess there's not. Did you read Bill King this week?
yes, I didn't really like it. Like, I think my problem from the first chapter where it's very verbose and full
Yes,
of
it is.
text.
It is very dense with
Yeah,
explanation,
yeah, and I don't think I like it.
and it's interesting because the best panels in this didn't have any words at all.
Hmm.
Like when the house blows its chimney and there's just jewels and stuff everywhere, and then there's just looking at all these like jewels flying through the air. It looks great. And then the very next page, there's more speech bubbles than there are drawings.
Yeah,
It's it's rough.
it's just, yeah, it's a shame, and I hope it's like a starting problem where he just wants to establish his world. But if this continues, like I don't know how much of this I really want to stick with, because like the first chapter was like, okay, whatever, it's 60 pages, so any problem it has will be exacerbated by that. But now chapter 2 is basically just as dense in text and not any more exciting. So yeah, I mean, the thing is also, right, it's 2 days afterwards, and I cannot really remember much of what I read, so clearly a lot of the text was not all that impactful. So
Yeah, well,
yeah.
a lot of it is just like expository, and I understand that like the concept of needing housing is like more of an intricate thing than just food is good and yummy, like Toriko was. But Toriko has these sprawling like double page in the very first chapter, like big spreads that show people just like eat. The first like 5 pages are just people eating food with no words. And then it cuts to like Toriko out on that giant Hunter x Hunter looking lake, and it's just all visuals like, oh my god, look how cool this giant world is. Oh, here's fighting a fucking alligator. And then like there's just nothing, where it's him taking 4 pages of all text to explain how food works. And I don't know, it's very like Togashi type thing. You know what I mean? Also, we just lost the man here, so let's see when we get him back. There he is. He's back.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. I'm still working off of that shitty USB Wi-Fi dongle, so this might happen. I'm sorry.
Basically, all I was saying was that Toriko has these really pretty sprawling spreads of just like, you don't need anything really to explain it further. Whereas with like the concept of everyone needs to have a home, it's like a little bit, you can't really just like show a house and have people
Mm-hmm.
like understand the concept that people really like houses or whatever. I guess like fine,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really rough. There were a couple of
Yeah.
these pages that I saw this week, and I was like, I'm not reading that, man.
Yes.
Not reading all this shit.
Yeah, it's I there were a couple of times where I felt like that meme, not reading any of that, but happy for you or my condolences, whichever applies.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah, like
exactly.
that's very much
It
how I
was too
felt.
much.
Yeah. Do we have anything else?
If you unless you want to talk about Undead Unluck, not really. I think that's about it.
I dead ass don't remember what happened this week in Undead Unluck. I'm
Not a
very
lot.
unprofessional.
They're just kind of in the Wild West, and Fuko's like, I know the future,
Oh right,
and
the one that this week was the one that ends with like Andy's friends dying, right?
yeah,
In the
they
Wild
they
West.
shoot
Yeah.
up the bar they're
Bar.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a nice touch. I like that, but that was kind of it for this chapter, I must say. Like, it was very much just moving
Yeah,
the
it's
story
kind of an
further.
interesting concept because I guess that it's like she has to go through his life and realize that his life really sucks, and she has to see all
Hmm.
the times that he like, because he can't die, he loses everyone close to him, but he doesn't die. But it's like, okay, maybe it'll
Yeah.
be more
Okay.
interesting next time. It didn't really hit
Yeah.
with me this week.
Bro, I can't wait when the conclusion of this trip is, man, I really can't blame him for trying to assault me.
Oh God, let's hope it does not get there. I'm
Oh man,
praying
if
it does
that,
not get there.
yeah, yeah, because I realized while I was reading it, like, oh my god, if this is where this is going, please God, no. Uh, That's the thing, right? As soon as you have something like Unluck, which had like a very obvious flaw at the start that it has seemingly moved on from, you just live in constant fear that it's gonna come back to it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like, I don't know. I have faith that it won't, but also I'm like, oh God, is this the one? Is this the
Yeah,
week?
look, man, I keep every Sunday when there's an MHA chapter, I wake up and I think this is gonna be the chapter where he ruins it. And I fucking love MHA, so it never
Yeah,
quite fades.
that's fair. Okay, it's time. We managed 20 whole minutes, so let's go right
Okay.
into Jujutsu Kaisen. What did you think?
All right. It's so good.
It's so good, dude. It was
It's
incredible. It
it's
was
so good.
incredible. This might have the coolest thing I've ever seen a character in anything do, when Toto cuts his own hand off and then uses Boogie Woogie by slapping Mahito's hand.
That is so fucking
It
cool.
was so fucking cool. Oh my god! And then just to switch with Yuji, and then he's gonna black flash to the face. Oh my god!
Oh, like where do we even start? Like, I think the funniest implication of this is that Toto could have all along used Woogie Woogie with like other people's hands or even other people's like body parts as long as they make a clapping noise. He just comes up to someone and slaps them and he like teleports halfway across the room. That's cool. But aside from that, it's also just such a wonderful fight dynamic. Like I cannot wait to see this in the anime in like season 3.
Not only
Or
is it just an awesome like way to frame his power, but getting touched by Mahito is specifically what makes you die. And he
yeah.
did it anyway because he's just that cool.
He's just that guy.
It was awesome. Everything was cool. All the visuals in it were really great. I loved Mahito making his little Jujutsu signs with hands that he created in his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I like the little scene where he is staring down Sukuna.
Yes, yes.
Oh man, it was all so good.
Yeah, I really wonder because Sukuna not reacting at all and just smiling at him has me kind of wondering what he'll pull because no way Sukuna does not have some sort of plan for this.
Yeah,
Because
I don't know if it's hard to say because Sukuna, like we know that he doesn't necessarily want to die because he's got plans going on now that he's got a body. So I don't foresee him letting anything bad happen to Yuji. Just because if he does, he won't be able to do whatever plan they were talking about earlier in this arc. But I also don't foresee him having like a Kurama save your life moment. So I almost that smile was like, you're gonna get your ass kicked by Yuji in a minute.
Yeah. Although one thing that I was thinking is maybe this is where the whole binding vow comes into play, where Sukuna can switch with Yuji at any time, and Yuji doesn't know about that. Like, I wonder if that's going to be the crux of it, because Sukuna doesn't strike me as the guy to be like, "Ha, you're gonna get your ass kicked by Yuji because he's so good." It's more like you're gonna get your ass kicked by me when I switch while you don't expect it,
Yeah,
or
I
something
don't
like
know
that.
if it's as much as like, haha, Yuji's gonna kick your ass because he's so good, as much as it's like, I do not consider you at this moment a threat.
Oh, that's also fair.
And you know, now he's in monster mode. He's gone full monster mode.
Mm-hmm. The dragon
Instant
form.
spirit body of distorted killing, that's a mouthful. Attack name.
Yeah, that's probably definitely getting changed in the volumes whenever we get to those volumes here in English.
Yeah, that's definitely a little on the wordy side. Also, speaking of on the wordy side, not that this fight or anything is super wordy, but good God, this is a long fight.
Yeah, it's the
Especially
longest
for
fight.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, I mean it's the longest fight the series has had so far, but considering it's like the climax fight of the first big climax arc, and considering we know that it's probably ending next week since the like flavor text for next week is saying it's the climax of the fight. I think a 10 chapter fight to cap off like 50 chapter arc was fine by me, considering that I think we said last week or the week before that it's slowly approaching the point where we could lose steam, so it ending in the next few weeks is something I really appreciate.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
think that we are kind of hitting the point where now it's time to just be done.
yeah
Let us
yeah
lick our wounds a little bit as a reader base. Not that I don't think the fight has really dragged necessarily. I didn't approach this chapter and go like, ugh, more of
more
this,
fights.
like I have before with some other stuff. So it hasn't reached that point yet. I'm just constantly wary that as soon as we get a chapter that does not absolutely hit, I'm gonna start to feel that way.
Yeah, I feel that. But again, since the Japanese flavor text did say next week is the climax, I'm assuming that we're done with this fight in the next 2 weeks. If we don't get another break, of course. Also, we're getting another color page and another magazine cover next week, apparently.
I am
It was
here
like,
for that.
yeah, I'm here for that, but it's nuts. Jujutsu Kaisen is getting so many. Like, it has gotten the magazine cover like 6 times in the last half year alone,
Yeah, I
which
mean
is
it's doing crazy.
ridiculous.
Like I don't look at sales figures all that often. But I remember like not too long ago there was one where Jujutsu Kaisen had no new volume release and it still was like the number 2 seller
Oh
of
yeah, I
that
mean
week.
Jujutsu Kaisen at 13 volumes has outsold Black Clover almost twofold. And Black Clover obviously has 27 volumes out. And Black Clover has had an anime for 2 years. 3 years almost. So,
Well, okay, are you talking about the figure where? Because I think that figure did not count digital sales for Black Clover. I think.
you mean because I'm talking about the Oricon sales figures.
I can't remember now. I remember there being one where Jujutsu Kaisen was like slipping ahead of Black Clover, and all the Black Clover fans in the comments were screaming about how Jujutsu Kaisen was a combination of physical and digital sales, and Black Clover was only being represented by physical sales.
Oh, okay, that could be. I mean, I'm not super knowledgeable on these things anyway,
But
which
I mean, to be fair, it's not like Black Clover is this explosive selling
oh
manga
yeah,
series. I
absolutely
think
not.
people look at that Crunchyroll map where Black Clover is
Mhm.
like the number 1 most viewed in a lot of European countries or whatever, and like
Yeah, but
Africa for some reason. Um,
yeah,
and they're like, oh, it's worldwide juggernaut, but like the manga sales figures are not there for it to
yeah,
be.
they're really not
They're
there. I
not there.
mean,
Um,
and Jujutsu Kaisen has been doing crazy well, just regardless of comparisons with other series. Especially, have you seen the graph of its sales before and after the anime has hit?
no, I did not.
It's insane. Like you can literally pinpoint the month where the anime came out without even looking at like the graph titles because it just like
Skyrockets.
skyrockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
funny
that's so
that that
good.
still is not like that impressive by comparison because of Demon Slayer existing and being like this unholy. Like, what happened there, man?
I think with Demon Slayer was just that it got such a high prestige adaptation that has all the shit the Japanese love, and that just allowed it to explode like that. I think that's kind of it because it has, it has the demon slaying. It has a very pretty adaptation with a lot of very popular voice actors. It has the cute little sister character, and it has the good boy main character who's also fierce. And it had an insert song that was really catchy. So, and I mean,
Yeah, it's just
that
just a crazy like result. Like, good God, this must
yeah,
be
I
the
mean,
perfect storm of like everything. Like, nothing else could replicate this. I think for a very long time.
oh, definitely. But also, like, I'm not a huge fan of Demon Slayer, but I am. I do feel really happy for Gotoge because they just got to like drop this story of 200 chapters and just dip after becoming like a worldwide
Yeah, I
phenomenon. That's
think
kind of
the
cool.
funniest part of it is right when it started becoming like insanely popular. She was like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm not drawing this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to put down one really shitty chapter where all of their children are in the future, and then I'm going to cease making it ever again."
Uh, I remember I wanted to read Demon Slayer, but then I heard the ending was bad, so I was like, eh.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's not. So Demon Slayer, in my opinion, is really good for a long time, and then the final arc was just like, what the fuck is going on? So it
so
started
it's
off really good, where like they're fighting all of the upper ranked demons and stuff, and everyone's kind of having their own personal battle, and like people are getting closure, and then it was time to fight the Michael Jackson Demon King, and it just
yes.
went completely off the rails.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so it means it kind of suffered from the typical shonen manga syndrome, where the ending just does not work at all,
Yeah,
or
like
like the
they just
final
don't
stretch.
know how to end it, because like they're
Yeah.
fighting him forever. I mean, forever they're fighting this dude,
Mhm.
like an insane amount of time. Um, and then like he keeps changing forms, like he turns into a giant baby at one
I saw
point.
that.
Like he's
Yeah.
literally just a huge baby, and then like he infects Tanjiro, and Tanjiro becomes a demon, but then he just stops being one because people are like, "But I love you," and he's like, "Okay, all right, I'm good now." And then the
Cool.
last chapter is just like in modern day Japan, and it's just like kids that look like them all going to school.
Oh, like that's the other thing that I just realized. Demon Slayer doesn't even have all of its volumes released yet, and even in Japan. So it's probably gonna get another boost.
Probably.
Oh my god! But I to kind of circle back to Jujutsu, I do hope that Jujutsu gets at least like one more boost at least when the Mahito fight airs in the anime, like the first one after the Junpei arc.
Yeah, I think the Junpei arc was like where the series really started to like, because up to now in the anime we kind of haven't hit anything super serious. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
just because like the famous tweet complaint about how, oh my god, I'm supposed to feel bad about this grandpa that I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Like there hasn't really been anything that kind
yeah.
of
Mm-hmm.
hits you yet emotionally. It's mostly been just some kind of cool establishing stuff and like character growth and Gojo being the coolest fucking character in the world.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean,
but
it's very much
Junpei is
still
kind of
the.
where it starts taking the kid gloves off a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and shit kind of starts getting really real. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I think that if anything, as long as that like looks good, I think that is where, and of course the exchange event will get some love too because Toto and we're gonna see Gojo use purple
Oh,
and rip a mountain apart and stuff. It's gonna be good.
yeah. Man, like in general, I mean, right now in the anime for Jujutsu Kaisen, we're still very much in the here's some dope shit arc. Where it's just like, here's some dope shit. Isn't it cool? But as you said, like it's not it doesn't have a coherent, I guess, punch yet. Whereas the Junpei arc is very much your first like hashtag sad anime moment kind of deal, which I think also makes it a lot more marketable. So I'm hoping that if they manage to get like a good 2 episode fight going, that at least one of the episodes can really catapult Jujutsu Kaisen. Probably not in Demon Slayer territory, but like,
No,
you know,
I don't think, like I said, I don't think you can replicate Demon Slayer, but
yeah.
Jujutsu
But I
Kaisen is trying its damnedest. That's for sure.
definitely, and I think, even if Demon Slayer is impossible, something akin to like My Hero season 2 spike of growth, I think that's possible.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, yeah, because I mean, My Hero kind of had that big spike during the Todoroki fight, where for like 2 weeks it was the hottest shit in existence, and then it kind of cooled down a bit, but never went below being kind of hot shit. So yeah, if Jujutsu Kaisen can become like a mainstay name like My Hero, I'll be perfectly happy. That's
I
all I
am
ask for.
confident in its ability to do that. I yeah, I think it can do that, and I think it will do that.
Yeah. Uh, though speaking of like trying to go back to the manga though, since this is the Shonen and Chill manga podcast. What do you think of Maito's new form?
It looks okay. It reminds me a little too much of Hanami.
Yeah,
It
right.
looks a lot like him, and I don't
Hmm.
know if that's intentional or not. But I like
Yeah.
his little elbow blades and his little Dobby skin patches that he's got on his wrists.
Hmm.
I do generally. He looks like a very like because curses in this series all tend to kind of have that same like weird humanoid, but not at the same time like slightly not good look to them. That doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
They look humanoid, but like off, right? Like
Yeah.
they're human, but like 90% of the way there, and then there's something about them that's just like that's yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think this design does that really well. Um,
Hmm.
it's not my favorite curse design, and I think I might even
Hmm.
like the original one, like his regular look better. Um,
Yeah.
but we'll I need to see it in action. This is just one image of it.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely like the like visual of it because of course it has the tail and it has the like crowned crest at the head, which gives it that sort of royal dragon design, which if it was intentional to have Maito, someone who's introduced in a young fish arc, turn into a dragon in concordance with the fish that jumps over the waterfall and becomes a dragon myth, that's super cool because that's one of my favorite things Japanese media can reference. I just think it's such a cool little like mythology tidbit. And for Maito to have that implicatively or explicatively, however you want to interpret it, worked into his design and growth when his entire character has been about, finding the real shape of his soul. I think that's just super cool. Also, as you said, the elbow blades, love them.
Very
They
cool.
remind me
Yeah,
of
very cool touch.
a Gallade from Pokemon.
Ha, they do. Yeah, well, I think the elbow blade, like, like the reversed held sword type weapon is all
Yeah,
pretty not like super tropey, but it's every time it's used, it's very cool. Like
yeah.
Strider
Also,
Hiryu has a sword like that and stuff. It's cool.
but also, the blade actually kind of looks like it's made out of blood,
Yeah,
like
it
out
looks
of
like it's
the
made out of
blood
the
manipulation
same
technique.
stuff that like is shooting out of the back of his head.
Yeah, which I saw someone say that what if like like this form is one that takes elements from his comrades, whereas like he has of course a very Hanami-esque look and he has blood blades inspired by Chozo's technique. That maybe that has something to do with how he perceives his evolution, because of course he evolves right after seeing Todo have Yuji in his like little
His little
love
locket
necklace.
along with the
Yeah,
the idol.
yeah, because that's the other thing, right? He sees that, and that somehow shocks him, and then he goes like, "Oh, I finally know how to shape my soul." So, like, I wonder how that's like going to be. I don't know if explained or like, yeah, explained. I guess in the next
Yeah,
couple
I
of
think
chapters.
that does make sense because this like his face especially looks exactly like Hanami.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be cool. I guess you could say that like I don't see too much of like Jogo in it or anything, but
Well,
we'll have to
we
see if
could
he has
still
the
see it.
powers and whatnot. Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, like his curse family have all been curses that like symbolize life and earth in one way or another. Meanwhile, Might has always been the person who, or the curse that represents both death and humanity. So for him to appropriate like nature, Jogo being the earth and Hanami being the trees and Dagon being the sea and whatnot, for him to appropriate that and for that to be his like true form, um, if that is what is happening here, I think that can lead to some really dope shit down the line.
So,
But we'll have to see.
so do you think that one, Mahito makes it through the arc, and two, do you think that Geto will take his body back from fake brain Geto?
Okay, for one, whatever happens with Mahito, I don't think this form will last past this arc. Whether that is through some reversion or through him dying, which actually now I'm kind of feeling is a possibility, because it feels like his character arc is reaching a peak at this point, and I don't know where else he would go after he finds the shape of his soul. But whatever happens, I think this form of his is not going to be what we'll keep seeing for the rest of the series. Just because it doesn't, while it's cool, it doesn't feel like you know, like a villain designed to stay. It feels very much like a cool monster power up that you get once or maybe twice,
Right.
considering whether he lives or dies. And now that he has explicitly said that this is the true shape of his soul, I could see him biting the dust, or at least being kind of getting the Gojo treatment where he's locked away from the story for a while.
Yeah, I could definitely
Because,
see that. Well, because it's important to note that Mahito is not the primary antagonist of Jujutsu Kaisen, despite the fact that he's like Yuji's rival. It is
yeah,
it is Ghetto Brain Man at this
yeah.
point.
To get to your second question, I don't know how Ghetto would get his body back, considering he is dead technically, but I feel like everything relating to fake Ghetto is so unknown at this point.
Well,
Any,
remember
like,
that they had that little talk the last time we saw Brain Ghetto um, about how Ghetto's soul was starting to push back.
oh, yeah, yeah, of course.
So I don't know. Even if he doesn't take the body back, I wonder if there's some way that he can eject Brain Man,
Yeah, I
because the
mean,
soul and the mind are unique concepts in Jujutsu Kaisen. They're not like
mhm.
the soul is not necessarily like tied to your consciousness or whatever. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Brain Man is fascinating and really weird. Like, I'm kind of convinced he has to be Noritoshi Kamo, the like ancient evil sorcerer that created the death paintings, just because he's the only person I can think of really at this
That
point.
would need to body hop and
Yeah, and the person who we know has studied jujutsu sorcery and who would line up with fake Ghetto's comment of "oh, sorcerers of this age," which apparently he's from a different age, and Noritoshi Kamo is almost from Sukuna's age.
yeah, and it would make
So,
sense, because it would parallel Sukuna inside of Yuji.
oh, that's of course also true.
Yeah, so
That is of course also true. Um, but yeah, I
or
don't
it's just
know.
someone we've never met, one of the two.
That could also could still be
We'll just get the
someone.
reveal that it's just some guy.
It's Yuji's lost brother.
It's
No,
it's All for One, who is Yuji's father.
it's no, actually, it's Yuji's mom because that's like one character people love to theorize about for some reason.
It's Yuji's mom's brain.
Yeah, I mean, we have technically not heard what the brain's voice is like, so we don't know if it is more on the female end or the male end.
That's true. I just assumed it was a guy because of Geto's body.
I mean, theoretically, I suppose you could say the curses are genderless, because I mean, they're not. I suppose because they're the way what is it? Jogo says like, oh, they're like the counterpart to humanity. I suppose they would have to have something akin to genders, just because we humans have genders.
Yeah, I guess
So
it
I don't
depends
know.
on if curses care about that concept, since it's very much a human construct.
That's also true.
It's like because
Can
biologically they don't need to reproduce. So,
That's true. I was about to ask if they can fuck, but you're right, they can't. I mean, they probably can, but they
well,
don't
yeah,
need to.
I assume they can. If anyone, Mahito can at least.
Oh, God, I saw someone simping on my timeline today for Hanami,
How do you
which
simp for the tree man with stalk eyes?
look, man, I think it's funny. You always think, oh, men are so sexually driven, but then you go on Twitter and you see girls simping for a tree with abs, and it's like, I guess here we are.
Hey man,
Equality has
it's
been
hard to get
reached.
abs. All right, you got to take them where you can get them.
That's true, and I mean, respect to Hanami for building.
Yeah, for lifting. Shout out to Hanami for his sick workout routine.
We never saw Hanami's domain expansion, right? Because it was interrupted the one time he wanted to use it. His domain expansion is just like a CrossFit center.
It's just workout equipment made out of plants.
Domain expansion, Gain City.
Nature's gold gym.
A beautiful spring of protein shakes running down the side. but yeah, um, but yeah, we technically know really nothing about Brain Ghetto, so it's kind of hard to even start speculating, aside from Noritoshi Kamo.
Yeah, and you very much get the hint, especially in Shibuya, even though it was kind of always there. I think that Brain Ghetto is like not very much not part of the team with like
Yeah,
the curses, and like he definitely has his own shit going on.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
kind of like Sukuna, really.
yeah, because
Which is
like when Jogo almost gets killed by Gojo, he's like, "Yeah, idiot! Like I told you not to do that, dumbass.
stupid.
You fucking dummy." And then like in Shibuya, he's not like upset that Hanami is dead or whatever. He just doesn't really give a shit. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that this arc is probably where whatever either he's after or like if he's with some sort of evil gang, it just comes off like he was using them to get Gojo out of the way because he needed help to do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he really couldn't give a shit now about whatever happens
Mm.
to them.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think we are at like that sort of turning point. One other thing that I also want that I keep getting coming back to about Sukuna is how much I love that Sukuna has his own plan that has nothing to do with Yuji. That has
Yeah,
pretty
it's
much
just like
more.
Yuji just happens to be the guy that he is in the body of while making the plan.
Yeah, because it's like he has more interest in Megumi than he does in Yuji, which I think is just cool because it gives Sukuna a very palpable sense of agency. Like he's not like the obvious example obviously being Kurama, where it's like, this will-less force with the vague inclination of hurting Naruto, and
Right.
then the vague inclination of helping him. Whereas Tsukuna is very much, I have my own agenda. It has nothing to do with Yuji. He's just my skin suit, pretty much.
Right. Yeah, I really want to know what he wants with Megumi, dude. I want
That
to
is
know so
so
bad.
weird. Especially now in the anime that we've reached like Megumi's like 2 moments where he like almost unleashes his full power and everyone's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" So
Hmm.
I really want to know what Sukuna has with that. Like it must have to do with the Ten Shadows technique, because what else would make Megumi special? Because I think we've seen a flashback that Gojo tells Megumi that the only time two like super strong jutsu sorcerers clashed on like a level of Gojo's power was back when the last user of Six Eyes and Limitless clashed with a Ten Shadows technique user
Hmm.
in like the Edo areas. So I'm really interested where this is going with Megumi.
Yeah, I mean, he's got. Dude, I'm just ready for more. I almost want Shibuya to be done so that we can get on to what is after Shibuya because there's so much I want to know.
Yeah, although after Shibuya, I think I want like a low key arc, something a bit
Yeah,
more
I
chill.
I could use a break just to kind of let the
Yeah,
characters soak it in for a little bit. Like I want the healed Nobara, I want the healed Toto. I
yeah,
want,
I definitely,
I want an
I
arc
def,
of the Yuji kind of coming to terms with what his decisions have led to so far.
yeah, I definitely think I need the Yuji PTSD arc.
Yeah, well,
Like,
because even for like anime only watchers, I don't know why you're listening to this if you're an anime only watcher, but
yeah,
Yuji had that moment when he first decides that he wants to get rid of all of Sukuna by himself. He
yeah,
wants to eat all of them and then die. Um, where he talks about how, if I live the rest of my life without doing this and I saw horrible things happening, I would blame myself because it would be
uh-huh.
Sukuna's fault. Well, now horrible things happened because he made the choice to do that. So
Mhm.
I really, really want to see him have to tangle with that for more than one panel, um,
Yeah,
where
I
this is
definitely
all kind
think
of
that.
his fault.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's where we're headed, because we did get quite a bit of that actually already, like just interspersed. Where basically this entire fight with Maito has been him breaking down, being encouraged by a character, and then that character being killed or being horribly wounded. So I definitely think that's the direction we're headed in. Like I am almost certain that the moment like the adrenaline from the fight leaves Yuji, he'll just fucking shut down for a while. Like that's kind of what's striking me now.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
could
also
go for that because like I don't know, it's just interesting because he had his big hero speech of like I'm gonna do for the greater good, and I just love that like there is no greater good, right?
yeah,
Like you don't do it and bad things happen, or you do it and now bad things happen. So like,
yeah.
how do you
You
wrestle with
just
that?
have
Like no matter what you picked, bad things were gonna happen.
Yeah, I guess it comes back to like Megumi's conviction, right? Where it's like you can't save everyone, you barely can save most people, so you just have to save people unfairly and choose your hell, which I think is cool. It's like a nice thematic consistency.
Yeah, with the whole I'm not a superhero, I'm a sorcerer, so I
Yeah,
save people
exactly.
that I want to, basically.
I'm not I'm not one fantasy word, I'm the other fantasy word.
Uh huh. I'm a fantasy word with different implications.
Yes. Although one thing that's also just struck me is that Sukuna helping Yuji is going to start becoming more of a necessity for Sukuna, because now that Yuji has three-fourths of Sukuna incarnated, if Yuji dies, Sukuna is actually in a bit of trouble. Because before it was like, oh, you can die, I can just manifest through my other fingers, but now that Yuji has 15 of them
He has
and is
15. I thought he only had 10.
no, he has 15. He has 15 of them. I
Did
think
they
it's
did
said
they
in
give him 10 in Shibuya? Is that what it was?
yeah. I
That's what
think
it was.
yeah, I don't remember exactly how many when and where, but I know that Jogo, when he finishes giving Yuji the finger, says he's now ingested 15. So, like, if Yuji dies now, Sukuna is going to have a harder time to come back. So, I think it's interesting that the longer this goes on, the more incentive there is for Sukuna to actually keep Yuji alive and protect him, because
Right,
whatever plan he
because
has,
yeah, it's all of his
yeah,
power. Now, what I'm curious about is if Yuji dies, let's say he dies with 15 fingers. Does that
yeah.
mean that even if Sukuna comes back, he would only be at like 25% power ever?
I guess, although,
Because he
because
made
the
it
thing,
sound before that like, oh, if you die with 3 fingers, whatever, fuck you. But like, if you're permanently limited to like 80% of your output, you'd think he would still care more about that if it was something where he couldn't fully recover from just one.
well, the way I've always interpreted it is because when they explain Sukuna's fingers, they say that they have traveled through the ages, re-emerging over and over. What I'm assuming that means is that you know, as long as you don't kill Sukuna properly, like all 20 fingers, he will come back somehow. It just may take a while and it may leave him weakened. But
Okay.
I don't think it's a permanent thing unless you kill his host with all fingers ingested. But then
Okay.
again, we could have been given wrong information. At this point, that's also very possible.
That's true. Although I mean that wasn't like a bad guy giving that information, so I'm more
That's true, but I
inclined to
mean,
believe them because usually like when you get this kind of information from a villain, there's always that like, are they just fucking with the character kind of thing?
mhm.
Whereas the Sukuna finger info was more of an expositive dump from like a good guy. So
That's true. But of course, that is also an historical account,
that is also
which
true.
honestly, Sukuna might have manipulated that because who the fuck knows where he's manifested before and who he has influenced.
Also true.
So, yeah. Also, just random question. Do you think other characters can see the markings on Yuji's body when he's possessed by Sukuna?
Um, I would assume so.
Right? But in there's a couple of times now where Megumi has said specifically that he can't tell when it's Yuji and when it's Sukuna. Which, when you have black marks all over your face, I would assume that that would be relatively easy to tell. Like, granted, it's at the beginning of the series where Megumi maybe doesn't really understand that, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
I
right
don't
now, it kind of
know.
struck me.
Yeah, that is an interesting topic. I
Yeah,
don't
because
know.
they're never addressed by anyone. The fact that he has those marks,
Right. And
if
I
I
guess
remember
because they're
correctly.
like, even when Sukuna is like just kind of picturing himself, the marks are always there.
Yeah,
So, I don't know. I guess I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, plus, you remember that color page we got of Sukuna either in his prime form or in another host's body? Where he's like has a super angular face and his four arms and like a mouth in his tummy.
No, I don't remember that.
So it's like chapter. It's somewhere along the chapters where he fights Jogo.
Let me try to go back and find it.
Yeah, and that person has different markings, like very different markings. Maybe I can find it real quick if I Google color page. Uh, it was fair. Like, I want to say fairly recent, but that means nothing because like we've gotten so many of these color pages lately. It's actually insane.
By the way, poor Jogo, dude. I feel so bad for him. Every fight he's in, he just gets his shit wrecked.
Yeah, I mean, to
Even
be
though
fair,
he's
he does
supposed to
wreck.
be like really strong.
Yeah, I mean, he does wreck. He basically wrecks house before Sukuna appears in Shibuya.
Yeah, but there's
Well,
like nobody of super high quality, I guess, at that point that he
yeah,
fights that I remember.
yeah. Remember this?
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I guess yeah, those
Yeah,
markings
those
are
markings.
different. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I don't know if this is supposed to be like his prime form or his like another incarnation, but the marks are different, so I wonder what that means.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That
like
is interesting.
I mean, that's the whole thing with Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Like we're 130 chapters in, but it really feels like there's just so much more left to explore in this world, which
Oh
I
yeah, I
love.
mean we're at like the biggest arc it's ever had, and it doesn't even feel close to done, which is great.
Oh,
I love that.
absolutely. Also, I am really happy that the prequel exists just because that means that perhaps in the future, after the series has ended, the author could do another series that's not necessarily a sequel, but just a different story set in the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if Jujutsu Kaisen does blow up really big, there's a good chance when it ends, they won't let it end. So then at least if we get like something like the prequel where it's just like a different story in still in the framework of Jujutsu Society at some point, whether it's after the story, before, or during. Uh, I think that's a cool prospect. Obviously, there's also the danger that they just make, Joruto, but
Yeah, that would not be great.
I mean,
So,
speaking of,
yeah, well, before we do that, I want to ask one more question.
uh-huh.
Do you think that Sukuna's real technique is the ability to use techniques that he's seen?
Oh, that you mean the inventory thing where he copies Jogo's fire ability?
Yes.
I keep forgetting that he did that, and now that you mention it,
And do you think that's why he wants Megumi alive and to keep getting stronger?
oh, bro, I think you just connected some dots.
Like, do you
Because
think he wants to fight him when he's strong enough to go full power so that he can use it himself?
that could be it. Although at that point, I wonder why he wouldn't just go for Gojo while he's still out. Although I
Yeah,
suppose
well,
he
he fought
did.
Gojo and he got tossed, so there must be
That's
something
true.
different about it than
That's
just like
true.
seeing it. But like,
That's true.
because Jogo says, "I thought his curse power was to cut things," and then right after that, Sukuna says, "Oh, don't worry, I won't cheat by showing you what my actual technique is."
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I don't know if
Uh,
either, because Malevolent Shrine never really gave that indication. But what if Malevolent Shrine is not like necessarily either it's not his actual domain, or it's just his domain, but he can still use whatever technique he's copied before.
that's true. Okay, well, I will say I think the cutting is his at least one of his original techniques because for a simple reason that when he uses Jogo's ability, he has to like say inventory open and then like that black square, however he pronounces that. Um, whereas he doesn't seem to have to do that with his cutting technique.
That's true because he kills the person that uh, Megumi was fighting afterward by cutting him without actually doing anything.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
when he's
So
fighting the big monster, doesn't he still use a power that isn't just the cut? Doesn't he
I
use
don't.
the fire still?
I think he might be still using the fire. Yes, I don't remember quite, but he
Because
definitely has
yeah, there it
some
is. So
weird thing going
I
on.
just pulled it up. He fights both. He uses like mostly his cutting. He cuts the thing apart with Malevolent Shrine, and then after that, the thing starts to shoot a burst, and he shoots fire at it.
Huh. I mean, maybe there's like a specific limit to how many curse techniques he can hold. And he wants 10 shadows to be one of them because then he basically one of his techniques is 10 abilities based on the Shikigami he captures.
Yeah,
Because I
or
mean,
the Ten Shadows is just that good. So that's where he kills the thing,
yeah,
and that's clearly a
Mahoraga.
fire blast.
That's true. I mean, hey, maybe it's like he has 4 arms, so he can hold 4 techniques.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, like each arm can represent a different
Yeah,
ability or
that would
something.
that could also explain
Because you are
the
right, there
black.
must be something to it that makes it so he can't just go and take Limitless from
Yeah,
Gojo.
I wonder if it's because like the way he activated the fire thing from his quote unquote inventory was by speaking that black square. Like that's not even a word; it's just a straight black square. Considering that among his like lines and markings, he has like squares and circles and triangles and crosses. I wonder if that's the crux. Like his markings denote techniques he has copied or appropriated.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the only time we ever saw it was Jogo's fire.
Yeah, but I
Um,
mean, I'm assuming we're gonna see it more now that he's closer to full power.
right.
Because he also never did pull out any other technique other than cutting before he had 75% of his full power back.
That's true. Also, I also wonder maybe it's because when he's fighting Jogo and the meteor's about to hit, the
Mm-hmm.
meteor's coming down, and then he's just all of a sudden on top of it.
Yeah, that's true. He does have weird teleportation abilities. He does it in the anime once as well.
Yeah,
When
so
he gets
like I don't know
when he
if
gets
that is something he would have also taken, because
uh-huh.
Gojo can teleport because Gojo can manipulate space.
Mm-hmm.
But like Sukuna, nothing has like dictated that he could do that, and I like obviously I don't think he's got limitless up his pocket that he's just sitting on for fun. Um, so I don't know. The man has a lot of weird powers that just keep
Yeah.
coming out, and yeah, the more I think about it, it would make the most sense to me at least that he wants to copy Megumi's power because it's supposed to be one of the best ones. And he's not
Yeah.
already Gojo tier, so it's not the same as like I have to fight the most powerful being on the entire planet to try to get a cool power, as much as it's
Yeah.
like I could just raise this kid who can barely fight, I can keep him alive and then just, you know, do whatever I have to do to take his power.
Yeah, because also remember how he's the one that introduces the idea that vows and trade-offs are the basis of jujutsu techniques.
Right.
And how he's, for example, his malevolent shrine is basically just a trade-off. It doesn't create a separate space so people can escape, but as a trade-off, it's super strong and has an insane range. Um, I wonder if that something has something to do with how why he's keeping Megami alive instead of like supposedly stealing his technique right now. Maybe it's like by limiting himself to waiting until Megami is full power, he benefits in the sense that he'll be able to steal 10 shadows in like a cleaner form or like at full power or even an
Well, yeah, I
ascended power
assumed
or
it
something like
has to
that.
be something to do with like he can't just like, oh, I know all of what Ten Shadows is now, and so I
Yeah.
can just do whatever I want. Or maybe it's like he has to
Yeah.
see the individual one, because remember he copies Jogo's ability to make fire, but that's all he really gets. He doesn't
Yeah,
use
that's true.
like Coffin of the Iron Mountain or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um,
He doesn't use the insects.
no, he never uses anything other than really. He didn't really need to because he could have killed Jogo anyway, even without copying
Yeah.
his ability. He could just beat him to death. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I think it has to be something like that. Because like you said
Yeah.
earlier when you were talking about when we were doing our daily discussion of Gojo a little bit, you
Mhm.
mentioned that he had said the biggest clash in history was his power set against the Ten Shadows.
Yeah.
It almost this is complete fan head fiction shit, but it almost makes me wonder if he knows that he can't get past Gojo without something like that.
I mean, it could be, considering that Gojo did state that he's confident that he could beat Sukuna at full power.
Yeah, he said that it wouldn't be easy, but he would win.
Yeah.
So
Now,
I wonder if that's something. I don't know. It's something like that.
I mean, there's potentially also another aspect to it, and now I'm kind of pulling shit from Chainsaw Man, but maybe his technique only works on people who are afraid of him or believe that they're below him, which is why he's like fostering and growing Megumi both to become stronger, but also to still fear him. Because obviously, you can't do that with Gojo. Gojo literally doesn't fear anything.
Yeah, maybe because like he does it to Jogo right after Jogo says, "I know that if I use my domain, I would lose to you."
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the very next panel. He says like, "Oh, so I guess you're just like a little bitch, basically," and then he takes his power.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's interesting because I know that Fujimoto and Akutami are, I don't know if friends is a strong word, but they're in contact. Like they they know each other in their own friendly terms. So I wonder if there is some cross inspiration between Sukuna and Makima going on
maybe
because of
because like when has Sukuna ever seen Jogo before this? I don't think
not
so.
not. I mean, probably has seen him in one form or other
I mean,
because
other
Jogo is a
like Yuji has obviously, and he was like
yeah
quote unquote there. But like,
yeah.
has he and Jogo ever shared a panel prior to this moment?
I don't think so, unless you like want to fantasize about, because Jogo is of course a primordial cursed spirit, so he has probably existed in some shape or another, or like in another personality before. But yeah, no. Aside from that, I don't think they've ever met. But prior to this fight,
But yeah, it's interesting because like I just can't think of any time that he could have copied the ability from him except for right now.
yeah,
And it's interesting that he says at the bottom, when he first does it, he says, "Oh, that's right. I thought you'd have known about this, but I guess a cursed spirit wouldn't know."
yeah,
So what
because
does that
that
mean?
it's important to remember that Sukuna is not originally a cursed spirit, but went from a jujutsu sorcerer to a curse user to a cursed spirit. He's the only person, aside perhaps Geto, who has completed that transition. Because that's the thing that I keep forgetting about Sukuna. He was a human
Yeah, he was just a
before he
guy.
died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before he everything went to shit. Um, I
Well,
don't
yeah,
know.
he
There's
was.
just so much, man. There's so much to unpack all the time.
Oh man, the Sukuna flashback arc is gonna hit hard
It's
if
gonna
that
be
ever
so
happens.
good if that happens.
Oh man. Uh, it's almost unfortunate because I already know that whenever we see like a past Six Eyes user, because I'm assuming we will at some point, no way they're gonna be as cool as Gojo.
No,
Like,
because Gojo's coolness is not his power set; it's the way he carries himself.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, big surprise. Jujutsu Kaisen is really good. Read it.
Yeah, shocker. Jujutsu Kaisen is really good.
Jujutsu Kaisen
Um,
is still good. Seventh
God,
week in
it's
a row where we say
so
this.
good. It's so good. It's
Yeah.
like, because I read a lot of manga, dude, a lot. And
Hmm.
even of series that like I've loved since I was a kid, like very few get me as hype as Jujutsu Kaisen does.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's just such a wonderful time to be a fan of it as well because you have the manga doing phenomenally, you have the anime coming out and still looking really good. Let's hope that keeps up.
Yeah, I've there's some doom and gloom about it on Twitter right now, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, honestly, like it's very clear that Mappa has sacrificed Attack on Titan in order to make Jujutsu Kaisen look good. Like that's the vibe I'm
Yes,
getting.
yes, that is in no uncertain terms. Twitter has made me very clear that that is what's happening.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, Jujutsu Kaisen has a lot of outside talent working on it.
Right. So I guess the worry is that it gets One Punch Man, where the first
Mm.
season is beautiful and then the second season is like a bunch of JPEGs getting dragged around a screen.
The worst part is that is probably what's gonna happen
Yeah,
because
which is so unfortunate because Jujutsu Kaisen deserves so much better than that.
yeah, but the problem is, of course, Mappa is completely irresponsible in how they approach the series they take, and they
Well, it
just,
seems like they just take whatever they can get, anything they can get their
yeah,
hands on. They seem to want to do it.
yeah. I think it's the Sakaboru that described Mappa as basically a faceless mercenary army of animators that'll just do whatever no one else wants to do,
Yeah,
and that's
I
kind
don't
of the
know who
vibe I'm
tweeted. I
getting.
don't remember who tweeted it. Shit. Sorry, the person whose tweet I'm stealing. Um, where they said that uh, Mappa has more series in production this year than Toei.
Jesus, and Toei is a massive company.
Uh huh.
Yeah, well, we'll see because honestly, it all comes down to if Mappa gets Chainsaw Man. Because if that happens, then oh god, I just don't know where this is going. Like, we'll have to see. At this point, it's just too hard to predict because I mean we're both not super deep into the animation industry, so I guess it's not on us to try and predict this. But man, am I
Yeah,
worried.
yeah, and I mean, I don't like. I follow manga a lot more than um, anime,
Yeah,
but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's gonna be something.
yeah. I mean, okay. I suppose I wanted to say I suppose if Jujutsu Kaisen blows up, at least they'll give it a bit of security in terms of quality. But then again, that didn't save One Punch Man. So
Yeah, yeah. You'd think that like, oh, if it gets huge, they'll want to keep making it huge. But One Punch Man was massive, and it just completely fell off in favor of, I guess, of Mob Psycho. I don't know.
yeah. Although to be
But
fair, at least in terms of like animation complexity, I think Jujutsu Kaisen is a lot simpler than something like One Punch Man or the other high prestige show that is getting probably butchered, Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I guess
So
that's
we'll
true.
have to see. Yeah, because I mean, as I said, I can't know, but I think Jujutsu Kaisen seems to be easier to handle.
Yeah, well,
Like,
combat in Jujutsu Kaisen is very not simple, but like someone's death blow move in Jujutsu Kaisen is like the background changes color. you know,
yeah, pretty
it's
much.
not like they're doing a million twirling sword slashes and like blowing up. You know, Gojo's strongest move, other than Limitless Void, is he just shoots a ball
Yeah,
and
I
then
mean,
stuff disintegrates. You know.
yeah, I mean, I suppose at the end of it, it's just that as long as you can get like talented hand-to-hand animators for like the scenes where people throw hands, past that, the rest shouldn't be too difficult. Especially because with Jujutsu, you can lean heavily into like CGI textures and gradients without it looking bad. Because I mean, the domains are otherworldly places, and cursed energy can kind of look however you want it to look. So yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'm excited for the future of Jujutsu Kaisen, to say the least.
Definitely, definitely. I hope it gets nothing but the best. Do we have anything else to talk about today?
I don't think. I mean, there was a Dragon Ball Super chapter and a Boruto chapter, but they both suck, and
Yeah.
I don't know if fans of that want to listen to us talk about how much it sucks again.
I mean, I when it dropped, I felt like an insane person, the Dragon Ball Super chapter, because everyone was like, "Oh my god, the arc is saved." I'm like, it's just slightly less dog shit than usual.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
come
the
on,
chapter
guys.
was an improvement over the
Oh,
stuff
definitely.
before, but that is such a low bar of like, I don't know. It's the Super chapter. I feel like had this stuff happened a long time ago, it could have been like kind of interesting.
Hmm.
And like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't like. Maybe it's been so stupid for so long, it's hard for me to care. Because like,
Yeah.
Mecha Goku was still stupid, even though there's a better reason for it than I thought. It's still stupid.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Like, I just can't care anymore. It's been 2 years fighting this fucking goat man.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose now is the time to be excited to see what comes next. But
Yeah, well, whatever.
yeah, let's just see where Toyotaro's fun ride takes us.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Kurama has a PhD in nuclear science.
Yeah, and he's a fucking massive boxing fan.
To be completely fair, and I'm gonna do something I do like once every year, which is defend Boruto. To be completely fair, he mentions nuclear fusion, not nuclear fission, which is an important difference because nuclear fusion is a naturally occurring reaction. Which, considering that Kurama is like this primordial beast of energy or whatnot, I guess he could know that that happens in the sun. Like, sure, why not? But why did he have to use like the modern term for it?
Yeah, so like I'm not opposed to the defense of like, well, he's real old, so he's been around forever, so he would know things. But like that's still a thing that like you have to actively learn about. You're not just like around and you're like, wow, I have been around for so long that I have osmosed new theories about everything. And yeah, why did he have to use the real world modern? Because I know Naruto's universe is like deceptively modern, where like it looks
So
very ancient Japanese, but they also have like Game Boys and shit.
yeah, which just as an aside, I fucking hate.
It's all yeah, it's very confusing, and they have like trolleys and stuff, but it's also like ancient samurai villages. But like,
Yeah,
why would you call it the 1930s era term for it?
yeah. It's even dumber when you consider the fact that he calls it that for no reason because he's like, "Oh yeah, I've explained your thing. You know, like nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion. Don't forget about it." It's like, why
Yeah,
did you bring it up? It doesn't help
yeah,
anyone.
it just sound even if like you brush off that he shouldn't know it or whatever, or you say, oh, he probably knows what that is. It's still like, what a fucking stupid way to explain it.
Yeah, because it's like it doesn't help Naruto to understand it because he immediately brushes it off. So the only like solution is that this was meant for us, the audience, to be like, oh yeah, of course, like nuclear fusion. The average person doesn't understand nuclear fusion on like a molecular level. Like,
Right. Literally, all you have to say is this kind of works similar to how the sun produces energy. Our chakra is burning up to create new power.
yeah.
Done. That's it.
Oh my,
But
so
to say,
dumb.
like, he literally, I pulled it up just to read it because it's so stupid. He says,
Uh-huh.
think of it like nuclear fusion. It's a similar principle to how the sun produces its energy. And then Naruto goes, nuclear fusion? What's that? And Kurama says, never mind, the theory doesn't matter.
Like, yeah, why even
So
bring
then
it
don't
up?
say it. I mean, someone pointed out that it's like, it's kind of, I think, supposed to come off like it does in the original series where they fight together. And Kurama says something really smart, and Naruto's like, yeah, I'm an idiot. And Kurama's like,
Mhm.
ah, you're dumb, just fight. But like,
Mhm.
it comes off as so corny and stupid because it's like, what did Kurama help build the atom bomb? Like, what's happening?
Oh, it's so dumb. And
You're
on
telling me
another
that
note,
they have nuclear scientists in the Naruto world, but they don't have like airplanes? They still
yeah,
walk to other towns, but they have
like,
nuclear bombs?
yeah, you want to tell me that ninja warfare is still relevant when they have literal nukes, probably more powerful than ours? Like, it's also on an aside, his new form looks stupid and the name is stupid.
Oh, Baryon mode is the dumbest name ever.
Yeah, like what does that mean?
Well, it's a type of particle. A baryon is a type of particle. But like,
Okay.
why would anybody know that without googling it? Because I had to Google it to find that shit out. Because like, I don't work in science, so like,
Yeah.
why the fuck would I ever know that? It is a subatomic particle, such as a nucleon or hyperon, that has a mass equal to or greater than that of a proton. Very obvious to all readers
Oh yeah,
um,
of course.
that his
I
power
wake up
is
every morning.
equal to or greater than the mass of a proton mode. And also, it's ugly as shit, dude. It's so ugly.
It's like it deadass just looks like a fan form. Like
It's
we've
I've
reached
I've
Super
been
Saiyan
calling it
5.
Naruto Super Saiyan 4 the whole time because like so normally when he has Kurama forms and stuff, they're very like wispy and like fiery because they're supposed to like look
Hmm.
like crackling energy. This
Hmm.
just looks like a coat
Yeah.
that he's wearing because it's so defined. It's like very rigid and like it looks like orange felt.
Yeah.
It's so ugly. And like the markings on his face, I could see how they could look cool because like Sage Mode had eye marks too
Yeah.
that looked awesome. But I don't like Ikemoto's art style. Naruto has
Hmm.
a super flat head and a flat face.
Yeah.
He
Yeah. I
has
mean,
like
I
no
think.
defining facial features in Ikemoto's art style. So putting those
Mhm.
eye marks, they just look so dumb. It all looks so bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see if like Boruto gets his next volume or whatever, if we'll get like an illustration by Kishimoto of Baryon mode, just because I want to see if it would look any better in his style.
Yeah, if I think if Kishimoto drew it so Naruto looked like a human and not like some kind of weird flat-faced mannequin, and
Hmm.
then they actually made the Kurama portions of the coat look like the old Kurama forms, because like
Hmm.
it kind of visually pulls back to like his Sage of the Six Paths coat,
Yeah.
where like he's
Yeah.
still got his clothes underneath and stuff, but like it just looks like fabric. At no
Yeah.
point does they really, because there's a couple frames where you see like it looks like there's shards of it that are supposed to be coming off or whatever. But like at
Yeah.
no point does it really ever look to me, at least like it's not a solid object.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the color page of it is the worst thing it looks even worse in the color page than it does in the actual panels.
The like fucking Windows screensaver background in the color page
Yeah,
takes me
and so
out
the
every
color
time I
page
see it.
actually at least tries to make it look like energy in places because you see it like rippling.
Hmm.
But it's like deep orange and it's just a high collar jacket.
Yeah.
It's really bad. And like the tails look like they're sticking out of the back like Sonic the Hedgehog spines. They don't look
Hmm.
like they're tails. They don't look like they're flowing. They're just like rigid. I hate it so much. It's so ugly.
It it's so bad, and it's like, okay, so am I understanding this correctly? That this is something that they could have done at any point?
Well,
Like,
remember, it's you've used it, now you're gonna die, which, Naruto's already done that with Guy, and he very much did not die. So
yeah,
we'll see I don't think Naruto's going to die from this, but we'll see.
okay, but in the Ninja War arc, is this something he could have done? Have we retroactively received that information now?
Yeah, yes, he could have done this in that arc if they wanted to. But I get,
Oh,
they. Well, it's weird because Kurama's like, I never told you about this because we'll die really fast because we get really strong and we burn out like immediately. But like in this one specific instance, it's actually useful because our opponent is also very close to dying. But like, then why do you even have this power at all if it's only good for 36 seconds? What?
I mean, okay, that aspect I can almost appreciate because it's less like a power, more like just a property of chakra, I guess. But like, the thing that pisses me off now is
But see,
like,
if it was a property of chakra, that would imply to me that someone like Sasuke should be able to do it
nah,
if he
that's
really
also
wanted
true.
to. Like
That's
maybe
also
not anybody, but like in a one-on-one fight, I still think that without Kurama's help, Sasuke would be better than him. So if it's something that only like a beast can do, again, shouldn't any of them be able? Like, couldn't Killer Bee do this?
I mean, okay, I suppose it kind of harkens back to how Pain wanted to use the beasts back in Shippuden, where he like, oh yeah, I can manipulate the beast chakra into basically becoming a nuke. So I guess that's where it takes inspiration from that like, misleading line. But no, the thing that pisses me off is just that Kurama not telling him about this because, oh, it's a life or death thing, and you will die. It's like Naruto, ever since he's been 12, he's been doing nothing but risking his life anyway. So like, he couldn't have used this against fucking Kaguya or Madara.
Yeah,
Like,
it,
oh
it,
no, you'll
it comes
die.
off as weird when you give someone um, these life-threatening like super modes. Like, oh, this is your last resort, and we can't ever use it. But then you find out that like, oh, I've known about this since you were like forever, since before I was even in your body, and we just never did it, even though you were constantly almost dying.
Yeah,
Because like, and I saw people defending it on Twitter with being like, actually, in the Madara fight, Naruto was really never that close to losing, so he really never had any incentive to want to do that. But like, he probably should have at least gotten told about it, right?
Naruto actually dies in the Madara fight. Like, what are people on?
I don't know.
Ma-
It's this
he
big thing.
literally
I don't know. And
he
and someone else brought up a good point too with this guy is like, has anyone noticed that Naruto and Sasuke have not used even 1/10 of the powers they've used against Madara at any point? They're just like trying to
yeah.
punch this guy and losing, and they immediately jump to like, I have to die to get this power up so I can punch him harder. Like,
Like you see, Naruto's actually just really tired of being in Boruto, so he's like, "Oh, guess
I
I'll
found my
die."
out. I found my way out.
Yeah.
Um,
No, because like Naruto actually fucking dies in the Madara arc. I don't. Do people not remember that? That's how he gets the sage's power, where he fake dies, and then in his suspended death state, the sage of six paths comes to him and gives him his powers. Like, it doesn't get more. Oh no, I'm in mortal danger than that. Like
yeah, man, I
that.
don't know.
I doubt. I doubt Kishimoto knows either at this point. Like, and that's the thing, right? This is the first chapter where Kishimoto's back as like the main writer, and it's just bad. It's just dog shit.
But Kishimoto, is he back yet or not? I've been seeing
I
conflicting reports because some people are saying this is the first chapter where he's back, and other people are saying he starts soon. And to
I
me, it makes no sense to bring him in as the scriptwriter in the finale of what's happening right now.
that is true, but I feel like I've seen more people say that he's back than the opposite. But it's kind of the only thing I can go off of because I'm not fucking researching Boruto. If I do
Well,
that, I'm
that's
gonna have
true.
like
I'm never gonna like look into Boruto, but like, dude, like, fuck. It's bad. It's really bad.
it's
And like, I
it's
think
bad.
I'm more bothered by how bad Boruto is in comparison to say like Super, because I
Hmm.
think Super is like, in a way, it still feels like Dragon Ball, just with stupid concepts. Like,
Yeah.
at no point in Super am I ever like blah. I guess you could argue like, oh, Goku was never this dumb, but like flanderization of Goku's character has been happening since 1995. Like, I don't care anymore about that. So like,
Mm-hmm.
to me, it still feels like these are Dragon Ball characters doing Dragon Ball things to solve problems. They might be dumb problems, but they're still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Boruto has none of the charm of like what Naruto had. Like,
Yes.
Naruto was all about like the unique powers and like the jutsus and the like all that kind of stuff. Baryon mode is literally like, I am gonna punch you even harder now. Like, he's not using any techniques or like doing anything. He's just like punching. And no one like, I don't know. Even when people use jutsu, it looks like shit because Ikamoto's art is so stiff and just
Yeah.
awful. Like, I remember at one point, um, maybe it was either Sasuke or Sarada, I don't know, but they used the fireball jutsu, and it looks
Mm-hmm.
so bad. And you compare that to the original picture of Sasuke doing it for the first time when he's fighting Kakashi, and it's like this
Yeah.
giant, awesome fireball, and there's like light being shown, like reflecting off the characters because the fire is supposed to look so bright, and it's such a
Mm-hmm.
dynamic image. And then you look at Kishimoto, or not Kishimoto, sorry, Ikemoto, and it's just like red squiggles and the character that looks like they're an action figure. Someone tweeted at me. I keep saying someone because I don't remember the exact things that everyone says to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, people, if you're watching this. But someone said to me that Boruto reads not like it was designed to be a manga, but like it's being drawn like an anime storyboard. And I think that makes so much sense to me. It looks exactly like that.
That actually does have something to it, and I wonder how much that has to do with the fact that Boruto was, of course, separately planned as both a manga and an anime that initially were not supposed to be the same storyline at all. So it's just so tragic. Like, there's no other way to call it. Like, I shit on Boruto all day, and to anyone listening, I'm not gonna stop until Boruto gets canceled. Um, but at the end of the day, I'm just so sad that this is what Naruto is increasingly going to be remembered for. Because
Right.
with each passing month, we get further away from when Naruto was good, and more of its legacy is eaten up by Boruto's existence.
Basically, what you're saying is, how long is it until the Naruto's dad meme or Boruto's dad meme becomes real?
I mean, you've certainly seen that infamous comment. Do you think Boruto's dad had another kid that died, and it's like when he has a flashback of kid Naruto? Like, it's
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 just so
sad.
weird because the original Naruto, like, I'm not the biggest Naruto fan in the world. I like all of Part One, basically all of it, and
Hmm.
like maybe half of Shippuden. I think
Hmm.
the Shippuden wears out its welcome for me around like the Kage Summit, where
Yeah.
Sasuke's like, I'm just fucking crazy, and like nothing makes any sense because like Shippuden kind of ruined Itachi for me because like making him a good guy, I think makes him really stupid as a person.
Hmm.
And there's just a lot of stuff about late Shippuden that doesn't jive with me. But like, I love Part One Naruto a lot.
Yeah.
Like pre-time skip stuff, and early Shippuden stuff is cool too.
Hmm.
It's just when you start kind of backsliding toward the war arc in Shippuden where I check out really hard in Naruto. I just don't like it at all. Um,
Yeah.
but it just like reading Boruto, you just get none of that. Like, especially because he's really young, so the natural inclination of it is to cross it with Part One Naruto, not really the Shippuden later stuff. Um,
Hmm.
and it just doesn't feel that way at all. Like, Part One Naruto was pretty like dark, like shit was heavy, but like it still had a lot of fun to it, and the characters felt like spirited and unique. Like, everyone other than like maybe Sakura was good at like
Hmm.
specific techniques and like skills. And you had Sasuke who was like the badass ace, but then you had all these other characters that were still really useful in their own way because like they brought other powers to the table that even Sasuke
Hmm.
himself couldn't do, Like,
Yeah.
Sasuke couldn't do Shikamaru's shadow shit. He can't track like Kiba or whatever. Like, especially in Part
Hmm.
1 Naruto it felt very like no one person can do all of it, but together we're a group. Boruto
Hmm.
feels like nobody other than Naruto or Sasuke can do anything, and the series isn't even about them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Like,
It's
how long is it
so
until Boruto becomes the actual main character of the series that he is named after? Like,
right,
he's not even
right,
the.
yeah,
At this point, he's not the main character. Like, the only hype shit that anyone has ever gotten excited about in Boruto ever is shit that involves Naruto and Sasuke.
yep. And that's also to say nothing about the fact that the large and varied cast of Part One Naruto has now basically shrunk down to Naruto and Sasuke occasionally being cool.
Right? Yeah, because it's
Like,
like Naruto is like a browbeaten old man who's like tired of bureaucracy, but sometimes gets to fight cool. And
mhm,
like Sasuke has the worst redesign ever, and sometimes gets to fight cool.
yeah,
Like, and like even the kids, all of the, I think part of it stems from the fact that it was a really bad decision to just arbitrarily pair off all the main characters that we know and give them
yeah,
babies. Like, give them,
mhm,
like, that sucks a lot. I think all the kids mostly suck, except for like,
yeah,
I don't even like Boruto's. I like Sarada, okay, and I like Mitsuki. Those are the only two kids that I like
mhm,
on the whole show.
yeah,
And then, the manga has Kawaki, who is cooler than Boruto, but I don't love him either.
mhm,
I I don't know. It just feels like a show slash book that only exists for the purpose of still justifying making Naruto content. But if you're going to
yeah,
do that, just keep Naruto as the lead, because he's the only one that does anything.
yeah, and
And like, I could
it's like,
understand if it was early on, and like you don't want to pass the torch yet, almost like a JoJo type thing, where like the first character you see in Diamond is Unbreakable is Jotaro. It's not Josuke. you know,
yeah, yeah,
which that would be fine. But Boruto's been going for like 5 years, and he still feels like an irrelevant background character in his own series.
yeah, and I mean, it's been going for 5 years, and it still doesn't feel like the story's going anywhere.
No, it
Like,
doesn't. It really doesn't. This is like, maybe again because I think Otsukis or whatever they're fucking called, Otsutsukis, are
yeah,
like, they've also worn out their welcome to me a little bit. I think because like Momoshiki, I guess, was fine, but now they're fighting
uh-huh,
another one. And it's just like, is this what we're gonna do? Are we just gonna fight the next one of these fucking aliens every time we beat one?
yeah, like it's so dumb as well. Like, honestly, the biggest achievements Boruto has had so far is just shitting on Naruto's legacy and making sure that no plot point from Naruto remains cool. Like Jiraiya's death,
Yeah, and
gone.
that's another thing too with Super is it's like Super doesn't feel that way. At no
Yes.
point in Super do I feel like it's retroactively harming any content from the original series. Like, yeah, Goku's flanderized or whatever, and Vegeta's they're all flanderized now because now, like, modern Dragon Ball stuff is just them looking at old Dragon Ball and being like, what do they like? What do people like about
Mhm.
this? Stick it in this.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why Vegeta's never going to grow out of being a dick. And, Goku's never going to stop being an idiot or, like, stop, blah, blah, blah. But at no point am I reading it and I'm like, wow, this retroactively makes, Cell really stupid. Like,
Mm.
I guess the closest you could come to that is maybe Goku being kind of buddy buddy with Frieza. But even then, that's not that out of character for Goku, I don't think.
Hmm.
Because Goku, I don't know, he's not a guy I see holding a venomous grudge for 40 years or
Yeah.
whatever the hell. Like, but with all the stuff in Boruto, bringing it up and then doing things that are like, wow, this really sucks, and it makes this other shit suck also that I
Yes.
liked before.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
the
it's
clone
so
Jiraiya thing is so stupid. I hate it so much. And
doesn't
when they were writing it, they were like, oh, they're gonna love this. Like,
it Boruto in general just kind of feels like it's written by like teenage me and my buddies in the schoolyard trying to think of cool Naruto plot lines for ourselves with like
and
no regard for cohesion or anything.
I can see that, but I was thinking about it the other day because I'm like right at that age of like millennial nostalgia media where a lot
Hmm.
of media nowadays is aimed at basically making me feel old. Like Toy
Hmm.
Story, where the kid grows up and he gives the toys away to the little girl, and like
Hmm.
Logan, where Wolverine is tired and old and he dies at the end, because he's
Hmm.
been a hero forever. And like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
so much media out there that's like that. That's like, hey, remember this shit from when you were young? Well, now they're old, just like you. Like, um, and Boruto. kind of went that way for a second, where they were like, now we have this technology that you can use to do jutsu without having to learn it like Naruto did. Like it feels like the ninja way of life is kind of going to get left behind, and they promptly dropped the shit out of it and never touch
Yeah.
it again. And now they're just like, big bad alien man fight Naruto, many punch, very good.
That's actually a really good description.
Like,
Like,
because that would have been interesting to me. Is like Naruto's finally the Hokage, but like the dwindling relevance of training someone on how to use ninjutsu in the face of this technology that can replicate it could have been kind of interesting. Because
yes.
like you get to this point where it's like swordsmen now. Like you could have the most
Mhm.
talented sword wielder in the whole world, and just some kid with a gun could kill him. Like
Yeah.
the obsolescence of shinobi in general in a world where shinobi were always questionable, because like the
Mhm.
original Naruto harkens very much to like, I think the way we do things sucks because we have
Yes.
12-year-olds fighting in these wars. And
Yeah.
it was worse back in the day. Like we had the Hashirama Madara flashbacks where they're like little kids and they're like, we could die tomorrow. So that would
Yeah.
suck if we do. But and then modern Naruto, they kind of like it's more formal, but they still have the air of like, it doesn't matter if you're doing it in a school. These are little kids that are gonna die.
Yeah.
And they touch on that, and it's a really interesting topic. And so I think moving that system further into obsolescence, where like, on one hand, hey, we don't need child soldiers anymore because every able-bodied adult can clap this glove on and start shooting lightning out of their hands, is
Mhm.
interesting because it's both good because that's like what it should be. You should not have little kids who just happen to be talented learning how to do this stuff. But also it's like, you know, we grew up with that. And like a lot of people who read the original Naruto, it's like, you know, learning how to be a shinobi and all this stuff was a very big thing. So that the obsolescence of
Mhm.
that and moving past it would be very somber and like sad, even though it
Mhm.
shouldn't be. Like to me, that would be an interesting way to touch it. Where like have Naruto and Sasuke be the last two cowboys or whatever. Like
Yeah.
they don't use the tools, but it's clear that like Naruto may effectively be the last like Hokage because you just won't need one anymore.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
instead, it's just a big alien man.
yeah, because the thing that's really cool now that I'm on my Naruto rewatch still, I'm gonna be on it for a couple of years at this point, at the pace I'm going. But like, the one thing that's super cool about early Naruto is how like dystopian it is in a way, where it's like you have these military nationalist hierarchies where faceless rich people get to control the world through literal military villages. Like that's the thing, right? People sometimes forget that the Hokage is not the chief of the Land of Fire. He's the chief of the ninja village. The Land of Fire is under the jurisdiction of the feudal lords, which are just
Right, a bunch of
oligarchs.
rich old white people.
Yeah, and it's like that is an interesting thing to start, an interesting starting point, and to see like the ninja world slowly phase out and recognize the faults of their own ways while clashing with our own perception of it, because of course we will have generational nostalgia for that. That would have been so cool. Like in general, I think Naruto could have been such a cool story about the dangers of these sorts of socio-political structures. But of course, that didn't happen, and it turned into Dragon Ball Ninja Edition in the end. And
Right, and
Boruto,
because like Naruto, I think is the series that lends itself the best to that. Because One Piece is never gonna have a continuation when it's over. They're not gonna have Two Piece, like
yeah.
Two Piece and a Coke. Like that's not gonna happen. Um,
Mhm.
but like Bleach doesn't lend itself to that very well because the system of an afterlife is a necessity for that story, right? Like Soul Reapers are never going to be not useful. Um, but like having to confront a society of people who are effectively primitive by comparison to a lot of the technology in the world. Like we were joking about it earlier, but like they have like electronics, like legitimate electronics and stuff
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Naruto. But all of the combat is still done by people like throwing hands. And like I
yeah,
know that the power scaling in Naruto becomes so out of hand by the end that they're basically like mini Dragon Ball characters, like blowing up the moon and quintuple flipping out of light, and like technology's never going to let you do that. But like that's very few of them. That's like Naruto and Sasuke and like a couple of the big guys or whatever. But like, I guess the original Naruto, maybe in the war arc it did a little bit, but it never felt like it was only about those two in the way that Dragon Ball very much feels like it's Goku just punching dudes, which is
Hmm.
fine. I'm not trying to like shit on Dragon Ball by saying that. I'm just saying that that's very much what Dragon Ball feels like. Is it's about this guy and maybe Vegeta, you know, fighting and getting stronger and like conquering difficulties in their own way. And that never really felt like Naruto to me. Naruto
Hmm.
never really felt like, oh, it's just Naruto doing like the society and the world at large was always from the very beginning very like entrenched in it. Because Naruto's
Hmm.
desire to be like Hokage and to climb the, the shinobi ranking is like you can't have that without society being a key portion of it. Naruto isn't
Hmm.
like, I'm going to get stronger to be the strongestest like Goku does. He specifically wants what is effectively a political position.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so you can't separate the society of that world from the character. But now in Boruto, it almost feels like they kind of have. Other than the
Hmm.
fact that Naruto is called Hokage and sometimes he frowns at paperwork, like there's nothing else really about his job in the series. It's
Yeah,
just like I
that's true.
I don't like being a bureaucrat. That sucks, but I will do it because I want to do it, and I am the Hokage, and that's fine. But like,
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe having the story about the underdog kid that is bullied and everyone hates him, turning it around and like genuinely working hard to be something great should not be immediately followed up by a pampered shithead that nobody likes. Maybe
Well,
that's just what it is.
may at this point we're trying to diagnose a 5-year-old disease that has been festering for way too long and will continue to do so because on God, there are people who unironically like this.
And I,
And
I don't want to an extent, if you like Boruto, I know you're not fine with it. I'm like, okay, if you like Boruto, whatever. Like, because I bombastically make fun of things I find stupid, like excessively.
Mhm.
And occasionally I'll get the comment that's like, man, it really sucks when people just shit so much on something that you like. And I get that. And I don't want to be the kind of guy who's like, you have no right to like this. I I will never stop making fun of it. But you're
Mhm.
welcome to like it.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like, don't you want more? Don't
Yeah.
don't you ever look at this thing you've got that is just kind of slop? And like I'm not saying slop isn't good. Like I'm not going to say if you go get a McDonald's hamburger, I'm not going to be like you didn't go get a steak, you plebeian. Like think it's comfort food. It's like manga comfort food and that's fine. But
Mhm.
you don't only eat chips, right? Like you got
Yeah.
to get some other stuff too. And don't you sometimes look at your bag of chips and you're like this sucks and I wish I
Mhm.
had something good to eat.
Mhm.
And I don't know if the
Yeah.
answer to that question is I wish Boruto was better or I wish Boruto didn't exist because that's a different topic.
Mhm.
That I
Yeah.
think both is a good thing. Like if Boruto was good, that would be fine, but also if Boruto didn't exist, you could focus more on stuff that was good.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I just I don't want people to think that I'm like shitting on it and I think they're wrong for liking it. I just think
Mhm.
maybe reflect a little bit on if you think it is really as good as it could be.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't disapprove of people liking Boruto. Like everyone's likes are valid as long as it isn't something,
Horrific.
racist or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you love Boruto because it gives you joy once a month or once a week if you watch the anime, like who the fuck am I to tell you that you're invalid for that? That's perfectly fine. But at the same time, my feelings towards a, you know this thing that is actively ruining literally the series that made my childhood, my feelings on that are just as valid, and I will keep talking about it the same way people keep talking about how much they like Boruto if they like Boruto. And the two of us, we just happen to have platforms. So people are like, oh, you're unfairly, criticizing things. Like, no, we have experiences that are valid, all of us, and we're talking about them. And it just so happens that we have these platforms where these talking points get amplified. But,
Yeah, and I sometimes I feel bad when people respond to me and they're like, "Man, I really like Dragon Ball Super, but it feels like I can't get away from people not liking it because like you said, we have platforms that have reach that whether I mean we're not like huge. Well, you're pretty big. I'm not like massive, but like they have sufficient reach that like the words are most likely going to find the eyes of people that don't want to read them. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, it's like I don't know what to tell you, man. Like I'm not coming at you when I say I don't like Dragon Ball. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think because especially me, and you actually you do this too. I'm calling you out. You do this too. We
Uh-huh.
both are very like harsh on the shit that we criticize
Yes.
to the point of
We
like
have
this is a sin unto God levels of like hyperbole sometimes.
we have big mouths. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that like sometimes people will read that and think that I mean like, oh, this thing is really bad and I hate it, and that means if you like it, you're an idiot and you're wrong or whatever. And like I never mean that. But I think it's
Mm-hmm.
just an inevitable side effect of the way that both of us like phrase our points, you know?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I don't. I wouldn't blame anyone for getting that out of how I speak. Like I do speak hyperbole a lot, because also you need to realize that when I talk about Boruto specifically, that's half me giving honest criticism and half me venting. So
Right, yeah,
it's
because
not
some of
always
it
fair.
like I don't talk about it very much on Twitter anymore because I just don't, I'm not that huge on Super, but like I'm a big Dragon Ball fan. Like I really like Dragon Ball. So
Uh-huh.
like when Super does stupid shit, I'm like, wow, this sucks. And I remember when
Hmm.
it didn't suck, and I really wish it didn't
Hmm.
keep sucking because I really like when it doesn't suck. And like when the anime of Super came out, like I watched that shit every week, and it
Hmm.
was fun and it was exciting, and I was like hype about it. But like I don't know, I think I just am tired of
Yeah, I
seeing
mean,
shit that I really loved a long time ago being kept alive. Like, do you remember what show was it? Have you ever seen American Dad?
yes.
Did you see the episode where Steve gets a dog and it gets run over and Stan is desperate to keep it alive?
No, I can't
So
say I have.
basically, they get a puppy, um, and Stan falls in love with it just as much as the kid and all that stuff, and like he really loves the dog, and it gets hit by a car. Um,
Hmm.
and all the vets are saying like you have to put it down, like it's finished, it can't survive. And so he takes it to this like crazy Frankenstein doctor, and it comes
Hmm.
out as like its body is made out of like footballs and like a broken, destroyed dog, and it's like being kept alive on a car battery. And it
Oh
like
God.
it's like a Frankenstein monster, and like it takes a step forward, and then it yips, and then it dies, and then the car battery shocks it back to life.
Oh
And I'm like,
God. Yeah.
that's Boruto.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
just let it go. If you can't continue it in a way that's good, just let it go. Nothing
yeah. I
about
mean.
Super and nothing about Boruto strike me as a creative spark that you feel you must get out to the world. Because it's like, and I'm not saying that everything that is creative is good automatically, because that's not true. You can have a passion and just it can be bad. But
Mhm.
Boruto feels so calculated and so like this was drawn up by a marketing team on a whiteboard.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, that is exactly my problem with it. I think we talked about it on Twitter recently. Like my problem with Boruto isn't that it's made for profit. My problem with Boruto is that beside being made for profit, it has no identity. Like there is nothing in here that I feel a person really wanted to show me. Like with Naruto and all the other manga I've read and loved, well, not all, but most of them, you can feel that there is an author who was really excited to show me something. Like, it's also why I love Horikoshi so much because the man got canceled twice and he still went in for another series.
Right. Like,
Like
I mean,
that
that's
takes.
why I praise this endlessly about Araki, is that like you read JoJo, and you're like, what the? And, everyone talks about how it's weird and like, it's like so weird, but like, that no corporate executive was like, yeah, let's get this really flamboyant muscle dude with a tribal ghost that punches people. People are gonna love that. Like, that was all him. And
Yeah.
anytime you read anything JoJo, you know that that's just like that's a story that he wants to put out, and it's up to you if you like it or not.
Yes.
But it's clear that it comes from a place of passion, and the man wants to share it with you. And like
Yes.
that's why I love stylistic series, like because Bleach is very stylistic too, where like
Hmm.
it's very much like it has a lot of tropes and stuff in it, but all of the designs and stuff, like the Spanish designs for the hollows and the espada and the Vizard masks and stuff, is like
Mhm.
so cool. And all this stuff that nobody was like making Bleach, and then had an executive come in and they're like, you know what, people really like a lot is Mexico. Do you think you could put a
Mhm.
lot of stuff in it that's like that? Because that's just really hip right now. Like that was
Mhm.
just a thing that he thought was cool, and he made
Mhm.
it. And like Naruto feels that way. Naruto feels like it's a story that sure it's tropey, but it very much feels like he made this thing and really wanted to like show it and like have it be this thing. And
Mhm.
Boruto has never once felt that way.
Yes, Boruto feels like it's written in a in a financial meeting. Like it's written by looking at Google Trends, looking at which Naruto character, which Naruto moment is getting the most views right now on YouTube, on like Crunchyroll collection, and then just being like, how can we capitalize on this? That's it. That's all it feels like. And uh, you know, that is what I mean when I say that I disagree with its existence, right? I have no problem with it that it's trying to be successful. It's 2020. Everything is trying to be successful. I'm trying to be successful. There is no shame in that. But when there is just no spark, as you called it, when there is no sense that this is something someone wanted to put out in the world for a reason other than just gain, it's hard for me to even consider it fiction or media or whatever.
Right.
And
And this is gonna be my last statement on the topic because we're about to hit 2 hours.
oh yeah, definitely, yeah, yeah, sure.
But I think it's summed up as best as it possibly can be, in that in the war arc, when Kabuto uses the Edo Tensei and he brings
Mm-hmm.
back everyone,
Mm-hmm.
they did not bring back Jiraiya.
Yes.
And the very first thing Boruto did was stick in XP Jiraiya in.
Yeah, well, I
Like,
think that's actually the best way to put it.
because at no point would I ever have thought original Kishimoto would sully what he had made with Jiraiya. I guess that's a very dramatic way to put it. But like, Jiraiya died in Naruto and he stayed gone. And like they made a
Yeah.
plot reason why, like, oh, I couldn't find the body, you can't bring it back. But like, it's because it wouldn't have felt good bringing him back.
Yeah,
And I don't think it
exactly.
feels good cloning him either. But I think the
Mm-hmm.
author, even when the war arc wasn't good, but like even then he knew like bringing Jiraiya back, like that wouldn't be good. People wouldn't like that, and it would like make people feel bad, and it would make me feel bad because I'm like this, because Naruto and Jiraiya is like one of the best relationships in that series,
Mm-hmm.
and like they kind of did it with Asuma and Shikamaru and stuff, but like having Naruto have to effectively fight and kill like the closest thing to a dad he really had in his whole life, like wouldn't be drama. It wouldn't feel good. It would feel awful.
Yes,
And
it
bringing him
would
back
be.
in general, like the way that he died and the way that they framed it, and Naruto on the bench with the popsicle that they used to share, but he has got both of them now, so one of them melts. It was like
Mm-hmm.
sad as shit, and it was so good. And
Mm-hmm.
then Boruto's like, "Hey, I pulled up the most recent Shonen Jump popularity poll, and Jiraiya's number 4. How are we gonna get him in there?"
Yeah,
It just sucks. It's bad. That's
it,
all I have
it
to say. It's
it
bad.
sucks.
Everything's bad.
It's bad. Don't read Boruto. If you like it, you're valid. I would never want to take something from you that you enjoy. But at the same time, you gotta realize that I was invested in Naruto for almost 10 years, and my reward was Boruto. So yeah, just keep that in mind when you angrily tweet at me that I have no clue about what I'm talking. So
Read Jujutsu Kaisen, basically, is what we're saying.
yes, read Jujutsu Kaisen. Did you know that Jujutsu Kaisen is a true sequel to Naruto? You don't
Really, I
believe
did
us?
not know that.
Just you don't believe me, dear listener? Just go read it, and you'll find out. It might take a while.
Jujutsu Kaisen is set 20 years after Boruto ends.
Yeah,
Yeah, trust me.
brave
Just
move of
read the whole
them.
thing all the way through.
Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen is actually the sequel to all of your favorite mangas. Like you would know that if you read it. But
Any fiction that you've liked is actually continued in Jujutsu Kaisen, but you won't read it,
yeah,
so you'll never know.
yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen was actually it got the blessing by Tolkien himself. Like Pretty crazy, isn't it? If you enjoyed
Yeah, I
Lord of the
heard that
Rings.
they went back in time and they talked to George Lucas in the late 70s, right before he released Empire Strikes Back, and he was like, "Wow, this is the best thing I've ever read my whole life." About Jujutsu Kaisen, of course.
Did you did you know that Star Wars is based on Jujutsu Kaisen? Not in plot or anything, but because George Lucas was like, "Fuck, I have to do something that's even half as good as this."
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back came out because George Lucas was aiming to be roughly 45% as good as any given Jujutsu Kaisen chapter.
um, though I suppose the most impressive thing still is that Jujutsu Kaisen actually has an unreleased pilot chapter. You might know it as the Bible.
Oh my god. Yeah, Book of Revelation is just what Jujutsu Kaisen translates into in English. That's why it just came out that way.
I think on that note,
All right.
this could be
Anyway,
it.
thank you guys for tuning in for episode 7. We are delighted that you have stuck with us for this long. Uh, this is the most fun podcast I've ever made in a very long time. So I'm
Aw.
glad you guys are enjoying it, and thank you, of course, to my co-host for coming every week.
Hey man, I love to be here. Thank you for like asking me to do this, basically.
I
For
demanded it at
randomly
gunpoint. That's how we started this.
thank you for randomly hitting me up, asking me, you up for a podcast? At like 3 in the morning my time. Um,
And I guess with that, we'll see. We'll have to think of something fun for our 10th episode because that's in three
oh
three
yeah, for
weeks from
sure.
now. We'll think of something fun for that. But thank you, everybody, and we will see you all next time.
Bye bye.